Alright, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be taking a look at marking and charting a text. And so when we go through and we use this AVID strategy, what we're going to be doing is we're really trying to dig in and analyze a text deeply. Your first step is to start over here with marking. What you do is you number your paragraphs, you read the piece for the first time, you highlight key words, and underline main ideas and key phrases. So you'll notice that I already have my paragraphs numbered. If yours are not, please go ahead and do so now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to read through this particular piece together. This is a how-to article from the New York Times, and it's how to make a love potion. So it starts off here. Make heart medicine on Fridays, says Sueli Bautista Carolina, 33, an herbalist and community organizer in Brooklyn. In several ancient societies, Friday was associated with the goddess of love like Venus. In pop culture today, love potions often drug people into a kind of aphrodisiac-fueled craze. Wow, that's some great word choice right there. Subverting individual free will. Wow, she's got some great word choice. A love potion shouldn't be about trickery. Feels like a good main idea. Bautista Carolina believes it should be about self-realization. The first step in being able to love someone else requires you to activate your self-love, she says. A potion, which she defines as a practical recipe plus magic. So I'm going to grab that. Feels important. Might help you get there. The three plants Bautista Carolina uses most often in heart medicines are rose, violet, and hawthorn. Let's see here. A simple potion you can make at home is honey infused with dried rosebuds. Where possible, use local honey, feels important, and organic fair trade plant material. Fill a glass jar 1/3 with rose and the remaining 2/3 with honey. Say your intentions aloud. How you articulate your aims will vary by individual. You might say, I welcome love. I welcome self-love. I'm open to romance, kindness, compassion. I pull that energy forth into this medicine. Bautista Carolina says. Label your jar with the date. Let it sit in a cool, dark place. Shake it every day. After 4 to 6 weeks, start to take the honey at least once a day. Straighten a spoon in tea or on toast. Even if you're skeptical of magic, let yourself enjoy the sweetness. Seems like kind of a bigger idea there. You don't need to be seeking love to use a heart potion. Oh, it seems pretty significant too. For broken-hearted clients, Bautista Carolina might suggest an alcohol-based tincture made from the flowers and leaves of the hawthorn tree. You can be trying to rid yourself of a love that no longer serves you, trying to preserve your love, increase your love, amplify the love that you have. Discard an unwanted lover, says Bautista Carolina, who was born and raised in New York City, the daughter of Afro-Dominican parents. Her affinity for plants started in city parks. During this summer's Black Lives Matter protests, she has provided herbal remedies to fortify and protect protesters. We need all the heart medicine we can get right now, she says. All right, so now we're going to dig into this second piece is when we're charting the text. So the big thing when we're charting the text, so this is step 2, is that you're really trying to dig into the piece for a second time. And while one of the things that you can do is make a comment about what the author is actually saying, which is a little bit close to a paraphrase, the big thing that you want to be doing, and that we're going to focus on, that's terrible, isn't it? The big thing that we're going to focus on is taking a look at what the author does, okay? Which is really taking a look at writers' moves. Because we want to make sure that we can look at a mentor text and pull from it these particular moves, these particular strategies, these particular techniques that an author is using in order to make a piece engaging. So when you look at something like this, you can tell that one of the writer's moves that they use, and you can make a note of this somewhere, is like organizing the text into paragraphs. This is something that you can clearly see, obviously, that there are 3 of them here. And when they do that, each of these usually has their own main idea. And so what I want you to do is we're going to go through and I want you to keep track of the particular writer's moves that we are finding and digging up in this particular piece. So let's start with paragraph 1. And actually a lot of times I have students go ahead and divide their paper into, or their document into sections so that we can look at just paragraph 1 moves, paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 moves. Makes life a little bit easier. So what we're looking at in this first one, you'll notice that the author starts with a quote. So that would be one of the writer's moves that we use. Right? You'll also notice that there is this section here where they're talking about who this author is. That's something that we call building credibility. So it's making sure that people know that as they're reading this, that this individual that is being interviewed, so Bautista Carolina, is actually somebody worth listening to. It's somebody with the background, it's somebody with the resources, it's somebody with the experience, that's actually somebody that we should assume knows what they're talking about. Then you'll notice it goes into like several ancient societies. So we've got, it builds background. Info, right? And then it starts talking about in pop culture today. So we've got ancient societies in pop culture today. So gives context for today, right? And then it even gives a definition there at the bottom. All of this is a really great set of writer's moves that would provide an introduction. So I would label the whole thing, wow, terrible writing. As an introduction, and starting with a quote like this specifically is a really great hook. Right? So when you're pulling all of this together, you're really setting the stage for your audience. Those are great writer's moves that we would want any of you to potentially mimic in your own writing. In paragraph 2, you'll notice that she starts, as soon as she's finished in paragraph 1 of defining a love potion, right? It goes into paragraph 2 where it jumps into the plants, right? Or the how-to to creating this. So one of the things that I might say here is there is a clear transition between the first paragraph and the second paragraph that sets it up, right? You'll also notice that there are step-by-step directions and guidelines that are written, where she's talking about how to deal with or how to make this simple potion at home, right? But it's not just step-by-step directions. There's also like the beginning, right, of setting your intention, right? So the author is showing us why this matters. So how you're articulating your aims, all of those kinds of things. She's helping people realize what it is that they're actually putting into this. So those are some writer's moves that are sitting in this second paragraph here. She also like gives specific details. She doesn't just say, like, go get some honey and some flowers. It's very specific about what to go get, even the fact that it needed to be local and organic and fair trade if possible. And in the last paragraph, we've got more steps. So the transition here is the next step of the process. It's really showing us, okay, this is, you got it created, you got it made. Now what do you do with it? So it's giving us those next steps. Again, we've got clear details. As we're going through it, there's also, she's got several times throughout this. This is probably my favorite one right here. But where it says, even if you're skeptical of magic, let yourself enjoy the sweetness. So there are like bigger life lessons embedded in the steps. Because really, that's something that anybody in life, if they were looking for more joy, looking for more happiness, looking for more love or connection, whatever it would happen to be, is even if you're skeptical of magic, even if you're skeptical of the way those things are going, like letting yourself enjoy, you know, the sweetness of life, or letting yourself enjoy the sweetness of whatever it is that you're experiencing in that moment, there's ways to really almost make that a metaphor. And we can dig into that a little bit more. So then she tells, like, even if there's broken-hearted clients, even if there's people, so she gives examples of who benefits from it and how to use it. And then in the end, it ends with a quote again. Now, I didn't grab every single writer's move as we go through this. There are things that you could see that you might have added to your own. Things like if you are looking at sentences like this one, right? It's a short, powerful sentence versus ones that are a lot longer. So here, let's see here, this one, where it goes all the way down here, is something that they've drawn out. So we could also take a look at an author's pace, right? That which we know is tied to how long their sentences are. One of the things that you heard me talk about a lot as I was moving through it initially, right, is all of these things that we pulled or that we circled. Her word choice is really fantastic. So there are additional writer's moves that are in here, but hopefully you have an idea of what kinds of writer's moves you can pull from and what it looks like to mark and chart a text. All right, so the cool thing about what we're heading into right now is that we are heading into another writing contest. We actually just had the results back in from our Hunted Saga writing contest that we did in the fall, and we actually had 32 of our students who are being published in a book. You guys do an amazing job in these writing contests. They're so cool, and they just present a different opportunity. And so one of the things that Miss Haddon and I have been focused on for a long time is trying to help you understand, in informational writing especially, what it takes to put your voice into writing. So the mentor text that we just looked at, everything that we're doing, it's all for this informational writing contest that's going to be happening January 10th through February 14th. So this is going to be our focus for the next few weeks. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to be writing your own 400-word how-to article just like the ones that we just analyzed. It's going to be informational, but it's going to be all with your voice, your particular flair included in it. You're going to be able to choose to write about something that you already know how to do, or you can choose something that you'd like to learn. It's just your description of it should be clear, informative, and engaging to read. As long as your topic is appropriate for a family newspaper, you can explain anything that you would like, including some of the articles that Tip has already taken on. And Tip is the particular column in the New York Times where all of these articles are coming from. It's what we're using to model this particular contest. The only other requirement for your piece is that you also are going to have to find, interview, and quote an expert on the topic of your choosing. This is a really exciting opportunity and is something that Ms. Haddad and I are going to be orchestrating with you and for you so that you have access to the people that you need in order to get an interview that's going to be really inspiring and is really going to help you to craft something that has a chance at winning this contest. So by the time that you're done, so for us, we'll probably be finishing up around February 13th. By the end of your essay, your goal is that your readers should understand how to do the task that you set out to explain, just like in these mentor texts that we've been looking at. And you want them to come away with some practical advice or tools that they can actually implement. But they should also have a wider understanding of the purpose of this skill and how and why they might use it. Remember, your goal is to go beyond being both clear and informative. Your goal is to create a piece that is truly engaging to read and actually shows somebody something that has bigger implications for life in general. What's awesome about this is that we will actually know by the end of the year if winners from our group have been chosen and their work is actually going to be published on the New York Times. So their learning network is the New York Times education section. So everything that you're doing in this assignment, everything that we're doing in these next few weeks, it's important that you operate at a really high level because our goal is to get you published.